Success isn't stolen. It's surrendered every time you choose comfort over challenge. While you scroll, relax, and play it safe, your potential is quietly dying. In this video, we're breaking down the silent trap that's holding you back from becoming who you were meant to be. If you're tired of feeling stuck and ready to wake up your true power, watch till the end. Because comfort isn't your friend, it's your greatest enemy. Comfort zones are psychological states where a person feels at ease, in control, and free from stress or risk. While this may seem beneficial on the surface, remaining in this state for too long can stunt personal and professional growth. According to Lev Vygotsky's educational theory, true development occurs in the zone of proximal development, the area just beyond what a person can do independently, but still within reach with effort or guidance. This zone requires stepping into unfamiliar territory, taking on new challenges, and embracing temporary discomfort. When people avoid this space, they limit their learning and self-improvement potential. Biologically and psychologically, growth happens when the brain encounters and adapts to new stimuli. This is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Repetitive comfort-based behavior doesn't stimulate neuroplasticity. It merely reinforces existing patterns. On the other hand, learning a new skill, overcoming a fear, or facing a challenge activates brain areas responsible for problem-solving, emotional regulation, and memory formation. This stimulation strengthens cognitive and emotional resilience, something that staying in a comfort zone can never offer. In the real world, this translates to professional stagnation and missed opportunities. For example, an employee who avoids public speaking because it makes them nervous may never develop the communication skills necessary for leadership roles. A student who chooses easy subjects may pass exams comfortably but fail to build a robust foundation for future academic or career challenges. This avoidance of discomfort may bring short-term relief, but it blocks long-term capability. Furthermore, challenges act as feedback mechanisms. When people expose themselves to difficulty, they discover their weaknesses and strengths. These insights are critical for skill development, decision-making, and character building. Staying in a comfort zone, however, deprives individuals of this feedback loop. Without exposure to challenge and failure, one may never know how much they are truly capable of achieving. They settle for good enough rather than striving for excellence. Even biologically, the body responds to challenge by getting stronger. Muscles don't grow unless stressed. The immune system doesn't strengthen without exposure to pathogens. Similarly, confidence doesn't grow without facing fear. Emotional intelligence doesn't improve without navigating conflict. In all these areas, challenge and discomfort are prerequisites for growth. The same logic applies to careers, relationships, and creative pursuits. Comfort can also become addictive. The brain enjoys predictability because it consumes less energy and feels safe. This can lead to a cycle where avoiding discomfort becomes habitual. Over time, this habit not only limits growth, but also increases sensitivity to stress. People who rarely face challenges often become more easily overwhelmed when a real-life difficulty eventually appears. In this way, comfort not only restricts potential but also weakens overall resilience and adaptability. Complacency is a natural byproduct of prolonged comfort, and it poses a serious threat to human potential. When individuals achieve a certain level of ease, financial stability, routine, or status, they often lose the internal drive that initially pushed them forward. This phenomenon is well explained by David McClelland's theory of needs, particularly the need for achievement. According to his research, high achievers are motivated not by rewards or comfort, but by the desire to master tasks and overcome challenges. When comfort becomes a norm, this intrinsic motivation begins to fade. The human brain is wired to conserve energy and seek predictability. Once it establishes a rhythm or environment where minimal effort is required to maintain success, it will resist anything that threatens that state. Over time, this leads to a decline in curiosity, ambition, and creativity. People begin to choose a path of least resistance, repeating familiar behaviors instead of exploring new possibilities. As a result, they stop setting meaningful goals and gradually lose sight of what they could become. One of the key psychological traps of comfort is the illusion of success. When things are going fine, it's easy to believe that no change is necessary. But this stagnation often masks the slow decay of potential. For instance, a professional who stops upgrading their skills because they are currently employed may find themselves obsolete in a rapidly evolving job market. Their past achievements, instead of being stepping stones, become barriers to future growth simply because they fostered a false sense of security. This is particularly dangerous in creative and entrepreneurial fields where innovation and reinvention are critical. History is filled with stories of individuals and organizations that failed because they became too comfortable. Companies like Blockbuster and Nokia are textbook examples. They enjoyed prolonged success and comfort in their dominance, but ignored signs of market evolution. Their complacency, born from comfort, led to their downfall. On a personal level, people who choose comfort often settle for mediocrity. They convince themselves that big dreams are unrealistic. Not because those dreams are truly out of reach, but because pursuing them would mean embracing discomfort, failure, and risk. Comfort becomes the excuse for inaction. It dulls the sense of urgency that once fueled their efforts, and this inertia becomes self-reinforcing. Motivation and discipline are like muscles. They require consistent use and challenge. In a comfort-driven life, these traits weaken over time. Without a sense of urgency or the willingness to face difficulty, people become mentally and emotionally soft. They lose the sharp edge that once allowed them to compete, create, or lead. Even when opportunities arise, the diminished capacity for effort often leads them to ignore or underestimate these chances. In essence, comfort doesn't just pause growth. It slowly reverses it. The person who once thrived on goals and challenges becomes someone who merely maintains what they already have, often unaware that their potential is slipping away with every day they choose comfort over challenge. The fear of discomfort often manifests as avoidance of risk, and this avoidance can be directly linked to missed innovation, progress, and personal breakthroughs. According to prospect theory by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, people are generally loss-averse. They fear losing more than they value gaining. This mindset, while evolutionarily protective, is problematic in modern life, where success often demands taking calculated risks. When comfort becomes a top priority, the natural tendency is to avoid any situation where failure, rejection, or criticism is possible. Innovation, by its very nature, involves uncertainty. Whether launching a business, creating art, learning a new skill, or making a significant life change, discomfort is part of the process. Great ideas are often hidden behind uncomfortable conversations, difficult decisions, and moments of doubt. Those who are unwilling to face these moments stay confined to conventional thinking. They follow proven paths, not because they believe in them, but because they're safe. This stifles original thought and limits breakthrough potential. In contrast, highly successful individuals often view discomfort as a sign of growth. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk or artists like Kanye West have faced heavy criticism, emotional stress, and financial risks, but they move forward anyway. This isn't recklessness. It's courage built on the understanding that discomfort is the price of progress. The process of taking risks doesn't guarantee success, but offers something comfort never does: transformation. In the workplace, risk-averse behavior tied to comfort can lead to cultural stagnation. Employees may avoid suggesting new ideas out of fear they'll be rejected or laughed at. Leaders might continue with outdated strategies simply because they've worked in the past. Over time, this results in an organization that can't adapt. In contrast, companies that encourage experimentation and tolerate failure, like Google's 20% time policy, often see greater innovation because they normalize discomfort as part of growth. On a personal level, the discomfort of failure teaches resilience. When individuals take risks and fail, they gain valuable insight and emotional strength. These lessons are not available to those who always choose the easy path. Risk teaches people how to think critically, pivot quickly, and handle pressure, skills that are essential for both career advancement and personal fulfillment. The modern world, driven by rapid change, doesn't reward comfort in the long run. Technology, markets, and even cultural values shift constantly. Those who resist risk are often the first to fall behind. They watch others adapt and thrive, while clinging to routines that no longer serve them. What starts as fear of temporary discomfort eventually becomes a pattern of permanent limitation. People often wait for the perfect moment to act, a time when fear subsides and the path is clear. But that moment rarely comes. In reality, discomfort is the gatekeeper to opportunity. The decision to embrace it, rather than avoid it, is what separates those who unlock their potential from those who remain stuck. Every major leap forward, whether personal or professional, begins with the courage to risk comfort for growth. Short-term comfort often provides relief and ease, but it rarely translates into long-term fulfillment. This idea is reinforced by research in positive psychology, particularly Martin Seligman's PERMA model, which identifies 5 elements crucial for lasting well-being: positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. Interestingly, none of these elements are achieved through comfort alone. Instead, they require effort, resilience, and often a degree of discomfort. People may feel temporarily satisfied by avoiding stress, confrontation, or hard work, but over time, this avoidance can lead to feelings of emptiness, stagnation, or even depression. The pursuit of long-term fulfillment demands purpose-driven action. Meaning, one of Seligman's 5 pillars is derived from contributing to something larger than oneself, whether that a mission, a goal, or a personal dream. However, meaningful pursuits often involve sacrifice, uncertainty, and risk. Comfort resists all 3. When people choose convenience or familiarity over purpose, they may avoid discomfort in the short term, but they also deny themselves a deep satisfaction that comes from overcoming difficulty and contributing to something significant. Accomplishment, another critical component of fulfillment, is built on progress. This progress, whether it's in skill building, career advancement, or personal development, rarely happens without challenge. Comfort can delay or even halt progress because it eliminates the friction necessary to push forward. A student who only studies the bare minimum to pass, or a professional who refuses new responsibilities to avoid stress, may preserve a sense of ease, but they forego the confidence and pride that comes with real achievement. Over time, this avoidance creates a subtle dissatisfaction, a quiet but persistent sense that they are capable of more but doing less. Engagement is also diminished in lives governed by comfort. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow describes the mental state of being completely absorbed in a task where time seems to disappear. This state of deep engagement requires challenge matched with skill. Without pushing beyond their limits, individuals miss opportunities to experience flow, and their daily activities become mundane and unstimulating. Comfort may shield them from anxiety, but also dulls the excitement and intensity of being truly immersed in something that matters. Furthermore, long-term comfort often isolates individuals from meaningful relationships. Genuine connection requires vulnerability, difficult conversations, and emotional risk. Comfort-driven people may avoid confrontation, hide their true feelings, or keep relationships superficial to prevent discomfort. But these behaviors prevent the kind of deep bonds that offer emotional support, growth, and intimacy. In this sense, the pursuit of comfort can actually create emotional distance, even in close relationships. Over time, the accumulation of these choices, avoiding effort, risk, and emotional vulnerability, can lead to a life that feels safe but ultimately hollow. Individuals may not feel acute pain, but they also don't feel alive. The richness of human experience, from triumph to transformation, exists beyond the boundaries of comfort. Without ever testing those boundaries, people often find themselves stuck in routines that no longer inspire them, surrounded by things that no longer challenge them, and haunted by the silent question of what could have been. History and real-life examples provide undeniable evidence that comfort can lead to decline, while discomfort and challenge often spark transformation and achievement. The corporate world is full of cautionary tales where success led to complacency and ultimately failure. Blockbuster, once a leader in home entertainment, failed to adapt to the digital age because it was comfortable with its existing business model. When Netflix approached Blockbuster in 2000 for a partnership, the offer was dismissed. Blockbuster remained stuck in its comfort zone, assuming that its dominance was secure. Just a few years later, Netflix revolutionized media consumption, while Blockbuster collapsed. Kodak presents another striking example. Despite inventing the digital camera in 1975, Kodak chose not to pursue the technology aggressively, fearing it would cannibalize its profitable film business. The company stayed with what was comfortable and familiar, and as a result, missed the opportunity to lead the digital photography revolution. In contrast, Companies that consistently embrace discomfort, like Amazon and Apple, often stay ahead by reinventing themselves, even at the risk of disrupting their own success. On an individual level, the same pattern holds true. Athletes often speak openly about how success in their field is a result of pushing beyond the limits of comfort. Muhammad Ali famously said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." His greatness was forged in discomfort. Early mornings, grueling workouts, pain, and discipline. Had he stayed within what felt easy, his legacy would not exist. Olympic champions, elite performers, and visionary creators all share one thing. They see discomfort not as an obstacle, but as the gateway to excellence. Artists and creators also experience this tension between comfort and greatness. J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book while struggling with depression, living on welfare, and facing numerous rejections. It was through adversity and persistence that her creativity flourished. Had she waited for the perfect conditions or stayed within the ease of routine, the literary world would have lost one of its most influential stories. This pattern repeats throughout history. People who achieve remarkable things rarely do so from places of ease. Leaders who inspire lasting change also emerge from discomfort. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison, yet he used that time not to retreat inward, but to reflect, strengthen his resolve, and prepare for leadership. His discomfort shaped his vision and forged his authority. Martin Luther King Jr., Malala Yousafzai, and countless other changemakers stepped into discomfort to challenge systems, speak truth, and uplift others. In contrast, people who prioritize comfort above challenge often plateau. They may have brief success, but without the pressure to adapt, stretch, or evolve, their potential remains capped. The world doesn't reward those who remain safe. It rewards those who are bold enough to enter the unknown. The consistent theme in every story of transformation, whether corporate, creative, or personal, is the willingness to trade comfort for growth. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but over time, it silently steals your ambition, dulls your edge, and keeps you from becoming who you're meant to be. Growth only happens when you step into discomfort, when you challenge yourself, take risks, and push beyond the familiar. If you want real success, fulfillment, and impact, you have to trade ease for effort. Because in the end, comfort won't make you great. Discomfort will.